can't hear my headset. Hello! Welcome to the Ride the Wave Show! I'm your host today, owner of my magazine, Phil. Well, we're starting off to a great start today. I'm your host today, Clay. Tony is off. He's fighting that good fight. He is making sure that the hungry are being fed. He's making sure that the homeless are having a place to sleep. He is making sure that good citizenship is still out there in the world. So shout out to Tony. Adam will be joining us here in a little bit. And we will have the one, the only, Dave Shoemaker coming onto the show as well for you. Getting a little action. I won some big money on the Browns this weekend. So shout out to the Cleveland Browns for paying my T-Mobile phone bill. That was a great thing for me. Then we had some good college football going on. We had the privilege of going to watch the Uniota versus Piketon game on Friday night. That was actually a lot of fun. Piketon and Uniota, they had a close game. Going into the third quarter, about halfway through, it was only a 24-22 game with Uniota up. Battle for the SVC title kind of on the line with Piketon really needing to win there. Kind of fall a little short. Big fourth quarter by Uniota to take that one 45-22. That was Uniota's homecoming game. So that's a big way for them to get that homecoming weekend started. We actually got to meet the king of Uniota. That was super awesome. Not every day you get to meet a king. So, hey, shout out to meeting kings. Put that on the record books. We get to meet a king. The clock keeper and the ref, you can probably find that on the next UFC 300 card or whatever because, oh my God, I really thought that referee was about to put the hammer down, just like Ethan Summers on that clock operator. So our thoughts and prayers are out to that clock operator for what might have to endure to him after what happened on Friday night. It was kind of insane if you were there. Yes, I can hear that. All right. But as I was saying, the clock operator had a few malfunctions there in the first quarter. I'm pretty sure everyone was scared for his life, so I'm glad to see that he made it out of that game alive. Then Zane Trace, they beat Huntington 35-12. Carter Langley, he's back in action. Shout out to him. Glad to see him. Gunner the Stunner. I think he will now go back to wide receiver for that team. But again, for the SVC, with Gunner the Stunner playing as well as he did, you definitely put everybody on notice for years to come, telling Zane Trace, hey, we're in good hands when it comes to the quarterback. Zane Trace also has put on display that they are the best special teams in the SVC. They came up with another big blocked punt for a touchdown this weekend after multiple punt returns for a touchdown by Aiden Dunn. I'm pretty sure a kick return by Aiden Dunn. So glad I get him on my team for fantasy. Trying to make him proud with some dubs in that. But Huntington's offense, they actually improve a little bit. Shout out to them. They got 12 points up there. Look, Noah Potter's getting his groove going. DJ Crocker, he's really starting to come into his own. Hank the Tank is a leader of men out there for Huntington. He got to be part of the pregame ritual, walking out, leading the team out as leaders do, getting to go out there for that pregame coin toss, getting to, shake the hands of the officials, shaking the hands of Zane Trace. So big shout to Hank the Tank. He's ringing that victory bell for them as well, and he is officially done with chemo. So, hey, Hank! Way to go, buddy. Would love to have you on the show sometime. I think we need to make that happen. Hank the Tank, we're all glad to see that you're making better time and everything like that. I totally messed that up, but Hank, glad to see that you're doing real good out there. As you guys can see, this is Frank the Frog. He is going to be one of our special guests today, and we have also noticed that is a terrible name for the frog here. So we want to get you guys in a little bit on the show. Tweet at us, message us, give us whatever names that you think we should name this frog. And by next week, we will make sure that we give it the proper name on that, and hopefully that you guys can help us out with that. Westfall, they come up with a huge, huge win over Southeastern. They go to 3-3 for their record, 1-2 on the year for the SBC, 62-28. I mean, the Westfall offense absolutely explodes. Trent Walters actually breaks the school record for 2 kickoff returns. So, shout out Trent. I mean, that when you can put your name in the records books, that's it's just what we're seeing in the SVC right now. Last week with Lucas Haynes with the goal record at Union Yoda. This week, Trent Walters breaking records out there on the gridiron. Bryce Wickline has reloaded that 12 gauge, spraying it all over the field. I mean, that arm is definitely going to be something to watch out there in Westfall this year. Cade Hall even goes off. He had 3 carries for 20 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 54-yard touchdown catch. So that just goes to show you that Westfall, you might be able to take the 2 or 3-yard runs away, maybe the 2 or 3-yard slants. They're going to beat you downfield. So that's something to keep your eyes on there. Jaden Tyler, even he had 5 catches, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Joey Wright doing what Joey Wright does. I mean, 8 carries, 110 yards, and a touchdown. Crown this man. I mean, he is really taking off for the Mustangs out there. And then Paint Valley and Adena. Paint Valley improves to 5-1, 3-0 in the SVC, 1-5 for Adena, 1-2 in the league. Paint Valley wins that one 76-41, breaks the school record for most points in a game. But again, we don't want Braylon or Preston there, right? Then Adena and loss still shows that offense is something to not sleep on. I mean, 41 points in most games, you win. You win that game. But whenever the other team puts up the most points that they've ever put up in school history, it's just kind of hard to combat that. Braylon Robertson, 7 touchdowns. 7 touchdowns. So, again, thank you for coming and being a Bearcat. I am super stoked about it. I know there's a lot of people out there in Paint Valley that are stoked about it, but I can't wait because Paint Valley, they have an off week. Not an off week. Don't want to say that. No off weeks. But they have a game this week, and then after that they have Uniota, which could be a huge game in the SVC. I mean, championship atmosphere there. And then that could be after Uniota plays Zane Trace next week. I mean, we all know how those games go. Uniota and Zane Trace. It's like Michigan, Ohio State, Duke, North Carolina, Yankees, Red Sox. I mean, that's a huge, huge rivalry game for next week. So that the SVC, they're really going to start getting some answers here. I mean, like I was saying, Paint Valley, they have Piketon this week. So, again, not a team to sleep on. They just lost their first 2 SVC games this year. Hungry for one. So, Paint Valley can't be sleeping on these red streaks. I mean, with Buddy Wilson, Brent McGuire, Luke Golian, they have weapons out there, and they've just ran into 2 good teams. I mean, that is one hell of a conference schedule. You start with the defending league champs, then you go to probably the team that's right next to you at the beginning of the year, favored to win the league, 1 and 2, and then after that you have the team that's sitting in second place or tied for first place in Paint Valley. I mean, that's a brutal schedule, honestly, for Piketon to start the league with. But again, Uniota and Zane Trace, after this week, Uniota plays Adena. If they win that one and then Zane Trace beats Westfall, which again, Westfall is not a team to sleep on. they got some weapons out there. They got, like I just said, Bryce Wickline, throwing the ball, running the ball. They might be upset alert there. But if those 2 teams get through it, and then Adena and Zane Trace, Uniota and Zane Trace play, with it being at Uniota, I mean, that's going to be a big game. That's going to be a big game. I'm pretty sure Matt Hoops told us they got the All Blacks coming out for that one in their uniforms, so that would be amazing to watch. I don't know if you guys have seen it on the Facebook page for Yoon Yoda or Christina Hoops. If you haven't, go check them out. Those jerseys look absolutely sick, honestly. And I think they're going to break them out for that Zane Trace game. So what was that? They'll be at the video is on Christina Hoops' Facebook. So I think MVD is going to try and get you those that video so you can see. But I mean, I know I said in the beginning of the year, hey, can't be putting black on everything. Make sure we stay in cool colors, blah, blah, blah. I saw just the tops. I think they just did black tops and the white bottoms for one game. And, man, they looked sharp. Man, they looked absolutely sharp. And then I think I talked with Matt Hoops a little bit. I think they're going to be breaking those out for the Zane Trace game. So I will say here with Yoon Yoda, that black with that purple and gold, man, it looks nice. And it will be – it just shows how big that game's going to be. With when you have Zane Trace and Yoon Yoda going for first place in the SVC, it's not just a game anymore. It's an event. You know what I mean? And you want to – anything I think you can do to give your team that little extra juice, that little extra momentum, even if it is just wearing some new jerseys, that you haven't ever worn before, I think that's what it takes. I mean, again, Yoon Yoda, they go to Adina this week. Can't sleep on that Adina offense. I mean, they got to take care of business, but Yoon Yoda's defense, like Ethan Summers said, they've kind of taken notice, like, hey, people are sleeping on us. We're here now. If you guys watch that interview at the end of the game, and then Zane Trace, they come off of playing Huntington. They win that one 35-12. They beat Piketon 35-24 to start, and Adina 49-39 going into Westfall. But Westfall's been here's those jerseys that we're talking about. Look at those. Those are good God, those are sexy. Oh, man. Those are awesome. I mean, the black on black with the gold and the purple, I mean, those are sick. Wow, look at that. Oh, dang. Put them down. Let them know who's boss. Oh, jeez, we got some cartwheels and shit going on here. Whoa. On top of those awesome uniforms, we got a show going on here. But absolutely, I mean, those jerseys are fire. Pay Valley even had MVD. I'll send you Pay Valley. They had those gray jerseys. Corey Dye sent me. Let me see if I can get those here for you. They had some nice jerseys. They broke out as well. So I like to see these teams around here just getting alternate uniforms and honestly just putting on a show for everybody to see. It's all right. Share video. But yeah, going into the SVC and those two matchups going on there, I can't wait to see how that goes going into the weekend and everything like that. Pay Valley, 7 touchdowns from Braylon Robertson. That's something that you gotta pay attention to for sure. Sorry, I'm just trying to get this over to Derek because these jerseys are absolutely fire. But yeah, going back to real sports talk here. Carter Langley, again, being back for that Yoon Yoda Zane Trace game here in a couple weeks. That will be huge on their part. Going into some other league, we go to the FAC. Hillsboro beats Chillicothe in a double overtime game, 23-17. I mean, and it was off of a blocked field goal from Hillsboro to win. So it's crazy how this went. It's in overtime. So I guess how the overtime rules are, if you block a field goal, you I guess it's 4th down or whatever, you can't return it. So Hillsboro blocks a field goal, returns it for a touchdown, and then is told, no, we can't have that because how overtime rules go, so you guys have to come out on offense. Their offense comes out, takes care of business, pulls away with a huge win. They had a 17-7 lead at halftime. So Chillicothe has a nice little comeback to, make the game close, obviously send it into overtime. Wall Miller had a pair of touchdowns to help bring them back. Here's the play here. So as you can see, Chillicothe to win it, bam, blocked by Hillsboro. picks it up. Yeah, get out of my way. I'm taking this ball, and I am going to win the game. Although you're not, because of how the overtime rules go. But amazing. We've been talking about it almost every single week. Special teams. It's not just offense. It's not just defense. You have to win at the special teams to be able to. I mean, literally, special teams won this game for Hillsborough. We've been getting to know some of their coaches, some of their players out there. Their backfield is going to be an absolute problem for the FAC. I mean, they have two studs back there getting over 100 yards a game. I'm excited to see what they start doing here soon. Getting their schedule up here for you. It looks like they could really do some things in the FAC. They come off, again, a win over Chillicothe, who honestly, Mrs. Injury Bug has definitely swept her way through there because they've been dealing with nothing but injuries over there at Chillicothe. Sean Smith, their leading back, he was out for the game with a possible concussion, but it sounds like he's going to be A-okay, so we're glad to hear that. But the injury bug has definitely swept its way through Chillicothe there. But, hey, that's nothing to say against Hillsborough's win. That's a gutsy win. They have Washington Courthouse next, who just lost to Jackson. Washington Courthouse has some dogs. Aiden Rocky Jones, my boy. I mean, my man. He's out there. He's giving me good fantasy points. It looks like he can't be stopped, won't be stopped. He's racking up the points out there. So they have an explosive offense out there, along with Hillsborough's kind of slow the game down, ground and pound, eat up the clock. With Washington Courthouse, they can score quick and fast. It's who if Hillsborough, I think if Hillsborough can slow the game down and control the clock, keep the ball out of Washington Courthouse's hands, they win that ball game. But if Washington Courthouse can get out there and just absolutely explode like they normally do on a week-to-week basis, it might go in the Lions' way. So I'm excited to see how that goes. But Jackson, like we just said, they beat Courthouse 49-21, just kind of doing Jackson doing what Jackson does. Is there any way to stop the Wolford brothers? I do not think so. I would say maybe an illness, but we have been proven wrong on that already this year, with Cade Wolford getting sick and still coming out and pretty much having a Jordan flu game going on there. And then Miami Trace, 29-20 over McLean. Kind of shocking. This all of the FAC's first week of conference play. That puts Miami Trace at 4-2 and McLean at 4-2. Miami Trace is the team that we've been trying to, figure out how they are this year. What are they doing? They beat Waverly week 1, then they kind of lose, and then they win, then they lose. Going against McLean, who we all think is a good team, they lose to Pay Valley there in the Battle of 41 and one more game. But, I thought that McLean might be somebody to watch out for in the FAC. The Miami Trace comes and beats them. So who is this Miami Trace team? It's been fun to kind of get to follow them a little bit more, throwing them into our fantasy league. Shout out to a couple of their players really helping us get the stats. Shout out to, honestly, anybody that's been out there helping us get stats. You don't understand how much you mean to us. I mean, stats is literally the only way we can do that fantasy show. Adam, whenever he comes on later, I'm sure he can express his gratitude for how awesome that it's been in the community to help get the stats out here. But for all you that's been giving us the stats, again, thank you so much. But is Miami Trace, getting back on that, is Miami Trace a dark horse for this FAC league? I mean, Jackson is a buzzsaw. I think Chillicothe has good talent with that injury bug hitting them. I think next year might be their year. They got a really good junior class. I think when they become seniors, they have another year under this really good coach. I think that next year, hey, watch out for them Cavaliers, all right? They'll be coming. I just don't think, 1-5, starting out 0-1 in the league, it's kind of hard to come back from that, especially with all these injuries. Like I said, Jackson obviously has to be the favorite because they are Jackson. I mean, if you're mad at me, go look at the history books. That's all I got to say. So they have to be favorites. But Miami Trace, I mean, I would not sleep on these Panthers, okay? I wouldn't sleep on these Panthers. Now, I wouldn't completely write off McLean. They lose their opener, right? But if it's the Miami Trace, who we think might be a dark horse, is it really that bad of a loss? 29-20, you know what I mean? It's not like they got blown out or anything. I think that FAC, it could be something interesting. Vinton County, they come in, blow at Alexander 62-0. I'll have Adam talk a little bit more about that whenever he comes on, but good God, was that a beating. I mean, 62-0. You had my fantasy points feeling a lot better. I'll tell you that. But, yeah, so they go there. Waverly, they get another huge win. Shout out Quentin Hurd for the stats. But Mason Kelly, I'm glad to see him bounce back. He went 4 for 4, 131 yards and 3 touchdowns. Threw the ball 4 times and had 3 touchdowns for 131 yards. Cody Soares had 1 catch for 53 yards and a tutty. Mason Pollard, 3 for 78 on 2 tutties. Jace Hurd being Jace Hurd, 147 off of 7 carries. I will repeat that. 147 off of 7 carries. God, and 3 touchdowns. I mean, wow. Wow. They have their defense had a pick 6, 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, that Waverly team came out pissed this week, and it showed. But they've been a fun team to watch. You know, we got to watch them a little bit against Uniota. Went out there and watched them against that Portsmouth West team, which that Portsmouth West team, don't sleep on them. I mean, or I don't think anybody sleep on them. They're 5-1, so you can't really take anything away. I mean, it's 27-24 a game. Mason Kelly throws a good ball to the back of the end zone to win the game. But Beardsley, man, damn, came out of nowhere with a huge pick 6. He's one hell of a player, so I don't think that's really – you can't judge Waverly too much off of that loss, and then they lose to Miami Trace week 1. But, again, look where this Miami Trace team's at now. I mean, shit, we just talked about them being a dark horse. So those are 2 losses. Obviously, they're probably going to get a home game in the playoffs, I'd have to imagine. Actually, we don't even have to imagine. Thank you to Joe Idle. Pull this up right quick and dandy. So, Waverly. Yeah, so, I mean, this is – we could possibly – oh, my God. Breaking news. We could possibly get Uniota Waverly round 2 in the playoffs. Wow. So right now, Uniota sitting at number 4, 5-1. Waverly sitting at number 10, 4-2. In the same division, in the same region. I mean, good God, Waverly, they have Minford, they have Wheelersburg, Northwest, and Mount Healthy. I don't know who Mount Healthy is, but they are 5-1. So they have a healthy amount of wins is what it looks like. Wheelersburg, oh, man, and that's at Wheelersburg. So I think if Waverly drops a game, it's going to be Wheelersburg. Uniota, they got 2 big tests again left in the year, Zane Trace and Paint Valley. So how those 2 teams shape up, man, if we get round 2, Uniota Waverly, woo! As Tony would say, you got my Jimmy's wrestling. I mean, whoa! That would be awesome. I literally just saw this right now, so that's insane. That would be one amazing game for us to get to watch, just as fans. As all of you probably know, we're just big, stupid fans right here. I mean, T-Bag, I want a cookie. T-Bag, I want a cookie. He's passing out Chips Ahoy's out here. He's not even going to give me one. All right. Oh, that's a lot of cookies. Shout out Chips Ahoy. Hashtag not a sponsor. But yeah, I mean, that could be one hell of a rematch for Waverly and Uniota. You know what? This is how great this show is. Let's just see how we can look at these matchups going forward. Let's see. We got Paint Valley. So Paint Valley sitting at 4. That Williamsburg team, 6-0. They're a problem. Okay? They're a freaking arsenal over there. But Paint Valley, they're sitting at 4. if they go 2-0, if they win out, obviously they're probably going to stick at 4. I could see them jumping up to maybe 2 or 3 possibly. Last year they had Huntington in the playoffs. This year they could have a Dino or Southeastern there. So we could see an SVC playoff matchup. That would be kind of fun to watch. If they split, I can still see them being in the top 10 because, again, when you lose to a Yoon Yoda or a Zane Trace and they're just a higher division than you, that doesn't really hurt you as much. So it looks like, gearing towards the second half of the season, we could see some big games here in these playoffs. Ironton, I know they're not in our fantasy or anything like that, but they're Ironton. Got to talk about them. They can be a absolute problem as well. They go to the Final Four last year in football. You gotta assume they're probably gonna do it again. They have a lot of the same players from last year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of, I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna make it. I think Ironton makes it back to the Final Four this year. I think they even made it to the state title game and just fell a little bit short. So that's gonna be on the tips of their tongues. The seniors this year that were juniors last year, they're gonna be like, hey, this year we're going for it. They have one loss on the season that came to a West Virginia team. They had to go out of state to lose. I mean, come on. We're not running into West Virginia teams in the Ohio State tournament. So, holy shit. And, I mean, look at this. Wheelersburg, they win 17-14, week 1. Jackson, who we all just said, Jackson's 5-1. You know what that one loss is to? Ironton, 35-14. Have you ever heard of Fairland? They're 5-1, really good. Yeah, not good when they play Ironton, 62-14. What? And then they lose 21-34 to Cabell, Midland, West Virginia. They're 5-0. Don't know anything else about them other than they're in West Virginia. If you beat Ironton, probably a good team. Go play South Point. Guess what? 42-8. Plays Chesapeake. Guess what? 48-7. They got Rock Hill. Sorry, Rock Hill. Probably not winning that one. They got Coal Grove. Coal Grove is a problem. So that will be a very good game. That's going to be 10-6. We'll actually be at Vinton County, but we'll keep our eyes on that because that Coal Grove team, they got some players down there. Then as soon as they play Coal Grove on the road, my ad, the next week they're on the road again against Gallia Academy, 5-1. So 2 tough tests, and then they end with Portsmouth as their senior night. I still think these Ironton Fighting Tigers are a problem that has no answer. So it's fun to see how this football season's about to play out, getting into the later half of it. We want to give a huge thank you to everybody that kind of gave us a thank you on the commentary. Again, we're just trying to make it as fun as possible for you guys. When we see things happen like Ethan Summer sending someone into another stratosphere, we can't be chill about it. So if you want to watch a game where the commentators are chill and super boring, do not come to us because that is 100% not where you're going to get. And if you want something that's done super professionally and not made up on the fly, you're in the wrong place because, as you can see, I just made up a whole segment because I saw Yoon Yoda and Waverly could possibly play again. I'm going to say it again. That would be a huge game. But getting off the football, going into volleyball, Yoon Yoda, last week, they beat Huntington and Westfall, so they stay in first place, okay? That's big news because Adina, they beat Southeastern, who beat them earlier in the year. They beat them 3-1. They lost the first set 25-20, then bam, 25-20, they beat Southeastern. Then they thought 25-20 seems like a good score. We'll do it again in that third set. So go up 2-1, and then that fourth set they went 25-16, just put the hammer down, and then they beat Piketon on Tuesday 3-0. So that puts Yoon Yoda and Adina right back in action this Tuesday night. As in, Taba! They play each other. It's going to be a huge game, battle for first place. battle for first place. We will be there at the game. Won't be able to broadcast it to you, but we'll have some videos. We'll have some live tweets, so you can follow us on Twitter for how that volleyball game goes. We're super excited about it. We actually have a couple of volleyball games on the schedule that we're wanting to get out there and broadcast for you guys. So if you're wondering, hey, when are you going to cover volleyball? It's coming soon. But again, this Adina Uniota game on Tuesday night, if you have nothing to do, you do now, because that's where you need to be. It's going to be one hell of a game. I'm expecting an electric atmosphere, a playoff-like atmosphere. SVC volleyball, that's the best you can say about it. I mean, it's going to be super fun to watch. Paint Valley, they split last week. They lost to Westfall, beat Piketon. So, you know, Piketon, Paint Valley, battle of the bottom feeders there at 1-7. But again, 3-7, 3-8. You never want to count an SVC team out, especially in volleyball, when it comes to tournament plays. We've seen numerous volleyball. I remember, I think my senior year, Paint Valley won, or no, junior year. My Bearcats won like 1 or 2 games in the league, and we won a sectional, and we're, I think, in a district title game, and we finished last place. So again, when it comes to SVC volleyball and the tournament starts, you can kind of throw those records out. But Uniota sitting at 13-2. Again, Adina at 9-6, 7-1 in the league. Southeastern 5-3 in the league, 9-3 overall. I mean, it's heating up, and there's still room. There's still room, I think, for Southeastern to win the league. I mean, losing to Adina there really hurts them. But if Adina can beat Uniota, then maybe drop to somebody else, which, I mean, it's Adina. Probably not happening. But if it does, Southeastern still has that wiggle room. They again, first-year coaches. Hi, Kona. Sorry, my dog jumped up. I got to say hi to her. But, yeah, I think even if they don't win the league, watch out for them whenever it comes tournament time. I'm really excited for the tournament to start, not only volleyball and football, but it's so much fun to watch these schools go on amazing, magical runs. It really tells you something about these teams whenever they get through the regular season. Might not have been the regular season that they were hoping for, and then bam, they go on a magic run. I mean, I've never won the league in basketball, but that's kind of not what that's not what Shu kind of made a point of emphasis as. He said, when that tournament comes, we're going to the convo. I don't care if we didn't win a damn game in the league. We care about the tournament. And every year, I mean, his first year back, we went to a sectional title game. We lost to a real good Eastern Brown team. Then, year after that, convo. Dropped 85 on South Webster's head. You heard me, South Webster. 85. Beat you. 45. We had the 85. You had 45. Sucks for you. Bam! And then we lost after that. But made it up for it in baseball. Then the year after that, go back to the district title. Lost to Trimble, who I don't want to talk about. So, again, he's been there and done that. Man, why do I have to say that? That Trimble game honestly still gives me nightmares. I mean, cold sweat nightmares. Oh, my God. But, yeah, didn't win the league ever, but made great tournament runs. Dylan Swingle, never won the league. Great tournament runs. Went to Bowling Green. You ever heard of it? Well, if you haven't, welcome from outside of your rock, because they're good. But, yeah, I can't wait to see. I can't wait to see. Obviously, we know Uniota, Adina, Southeastern, right? Probably going to make a run. I can't wait to see out of this Westfall, Huntington, Zane Trace, Piketon, Paint Valley teams in volleyball, which one of those teams makes a run in the tournament. I feel like it's going to be one of them. They're going to upset somebody. It's going to be fun to watch. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Going on to, as I like to call this segment, pointless shit. Travis Kelsey continues to make Ohio proud. I mean, the Ohio boy has got a couple Super Bowl rings, and now he has a big ring in Taylor Swift. I mean, when you're dating the biggest pop star of all time, and you're from Ohio, I don't even like talking about it. But I have to, because way to go, Travis. I hate the Chiefs, but way to go. So, Ohio State. you ripped your boy's heart out. All right, you took it out. You looked at it. You said, I hate you, and you stomped on it and made me cry until I. As you guys can see, I'm still trying to mourn this loss of mine. Man, we had. Why are we throwing a screen pass with like just over a minute to go against Ohio State? I think we make some good stops. We had a game-winning interception. Sorry, we had a game-winning interception. Goes right through the guy's hands. As soon as that happened, I said, "Oh no, we are screwed. There's nothing we can do." And then, I really, honestly, I wish that catch that was stopped on the one, I wish he got a touchdown. I mean, then we have at least 30 seconds to, and I think 2 timeouts to go down, at least make something happen. So, I mean, wow. But season's not over. Season's not over. I think Notre Dame can still make the playoffs. Ohio State go against Penn State. That's going to be a problem for them. I think they come out on that. I really don't know who's going to win that Ohio State-Michigan game. I think it'll be a good one, though. I think the winner of that, though, does make the playoffs. Colorado gets absolutely mollywopped by Oregon. I mean, 35 on their heads at halftime. Damn! That was bad. But Coach Prime, they got to turn around and go right back. Who do they play this week? They have another ranked game this week, so no time to sit down and cry over that one, you know. So it was a good week in college football. Man, Ohio State. I can't get away from it. Ryan Day calling out Lou Holtz, I hated it at first, but now, honestly, if I was Ryan Day, I probably would have done the same damn thing. So can't really say too much about that. I mean, when a coach calls your team soft, you kind of got to respond the way that Ryan Day responded. So that was cool. I was just a little butthurt about it because it had to be against my team, whatever. Are aliens real? Because I think there are some aliens found in Mexico here. I think somebody who can help me figure out if aliens are real is probably the all-time winningest coach in Pay Valley history for basketball. Probably. And as I say probably, I mean the winningest Pay Valley basketball coach with 175 wins. Founder of the Shoe Untied website. Music connoisseur. The one and only Dave Shoemaker. All righty. Yep.
Thank you.
Hold on. We got it. Here, I got you. And then we go. There you go. This should be good. All righty. Shoe.
Did I get here at just the right time? What's going on?
All right. So you're here, Shoe. Just me and you today.
Oh,
Tony,
okay.
Yeah, Tony's out solving world hunger. Adam will be calling in here shortly.
I expected other people to be here.
Well, Shoe, when it's you, I make it just you. Shoe, how you been? How's your life going?
Been good. I'm playing hurt today.
Uh-oh.
Am I supposed to be hearing you in these headphones?
No.
Oh, okay.
Well, not yet, but you will hear in a second.
Letting my dogs out at 5:30, and I fell off my porch.
Ooh.
Busted my ribs. I think I may have a cracked rib. I have a knee that's messed up. May have a torn ACL, which at this point I'm not just going to let it go.
Yeah,
you know?
Hey, you got to power through, man.
I know. I'm fine. Anyway.
So how'd you fall?
Playing hurt.
How'd you fall off your porch?
I got this. Well, it was dark, but I should know my porch. I stepped out on my porch, and then there's a step down, and then if you go right, there's another step down. I caught my foot as I'm walking. I tripped, stumbled through my bushes, and landed out in the yard. My dog Hank was all over me, looking at me, worried about me, whimpering.
Speaking of Hank, I saw that he's picked up smoking.
Huh?
I saw that Hank picked up smoking.
Yeah, Hank stole a pack of cigarettes. I don't know where he got it. He brought home a Little Mermaid T-shirt.
Oh, by the way, Coach Shoe does not smoke cigarettes, so that's why it's hilarious that his dog had a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, it's not my cigarettes. He got them off from someone's house or something. Anyway, this is disconcerting because it's behind. a few seconds, right?
Oh, that one right over there? Yeah,
Yeah.
don't pay any attention to it,
Okay.
even though it's a 72-inch TV. It takes
All
up
right,
my entire
fine.
wall. But, Coach, I want to ask you, Pay Valley and Yoda, Zane Trace, they're halfway through the season. They're fighting for first place, all 3-0, right?
Yeah.
You having a conference title under your belt back in 1993, probably the best Pay Valley basketball team that's ever walked through those doors. How do you keep a team halfway through the year focused not on games down the road and focused on 1 week at a time to get that championship?
I'm going to give you a bunch of cliches, obviously, but you really do have to take them one at a time.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to tell my guys, if imagine there's a line of people wanting to beat your ass.
Yeah.
And if you look beyond the guy in front of you and start thinking about the person down the line, you're going to get knocked out by the guy right in front of you.
Yeah.
So you got to focus every single game on the task at hand. And that's easier said than done sometime, but that's what you got to do. Otherwise, you're going to stumble.
I was just telling them about how, we never won the league whenever I was in school, but that's not really what you preached to us. It was, hey, we're going to get the tournament. We're going to kick some ass.
Yeah.
And then I gave South Webster a shout-out for dropping 84 on their head and then beating them by 40. And then I talked about, how I still have PTSD from Trimble.
Yeah.
So, but, yeah, I mean.
At Paint Valley, you're the smallest team in the league. And it's a testament to our football program how we've been so successful, because it's amazing. We're the smallest school, and yet we beat everybody usually.
And we have a lot of gold balls, too. Show for it.
Yeah, but basketball, I never really talked about the league a lot. You know this. I talked about we're just going to get better, and that's why it comes back to relationships. If your kids believe in you, and like we might be 2-5 early in the year because we played Courthouse or these bigger schools, Waverly, whatever. You just get them to believe that we're getting better because we're smaller, but we're playing bigger schools, but we're getting better.
Right.
And it was proven over the years with my teams that, we went to the Convo, I think, nine times in 11
9
years.
out of the 10
11
times.
years. Or no, 9 out of the 13 years I coached, we won the sectional.
And
so.
I said it last week. I don't think we ever lost. We were in Division 4. I don't think we ever lost a Division 4 team other than in those district championship games.
Yeah.
I don't think in the regular season, my junior, senior year.
I think after you, I think Leesburg got us a couple times.
Yeah.
Peebles might have got us once. But
they did, but that's because they threw out like half the stands.
That's right.
That was one wild game.
They shot we lost by 7 points, and they shot 32 free throws, and we shot 3.
Yeah. I mean.
So we outscored them from the field by like 18 points, but not that I'm still holding on to that.
Yeah, as you can see here on the Ride the Wave show, we definitely don't hold grudges for losses that we had a long time ago. Coach, you talk about coaching, we're talking about high school, but you didn't stop at high school. You kind of went through the Montserrat as their national coach, beating no big deal. You just beat South Africa, India, and Poland with players on their Olympic team on those teams. Is there anything that you took from like high school to like Montserrat and it was the same, or did you kind of learn more whenever there? Also played in the Final Four against Chauncey Billups' USA team.
Yeah. That was pretty amazing. It was a year after the volcano went off, which is a whole nother story down there.
We will talk about that.
Let's go back a minute. Gary Williams, who's going to be on your show here soon, which is going to be amazing that you get this guy.
Yes.
He does not do
this is why I want you here to talk about that.
He doesn't do very many interviews, and
Right.
this is incredible. This Hall of Fame guy has won a national title. Anyway, it's a long story, but through my friend Billy Hahn, I became the commissioner of the basketball camps out at Maryland. And the commissioner is basically you're just overseeing everything and making sure the camp runs smoothly. And a lot of the guys under me out there, I was a high school coach at Paint Valley. A lot of the guys under me were like the Greek national coach and these, ACC coaches and all this. Well, Paul Cotter was the Greek Olympic coach. He was their national coach, and he had been going to the Caribbean to train players. And I got to know him, again, relationships.
Right.
And everything. One summer, he called me and said, "Hey, I can't go to the Caribbean this year. Would you like to go?" And I said, "Sure." Well, yeah, it's free. They pay
Free
for
trip to
everything.
the Caribbean.
Put
I'm
you in a
definitely gonna
villa
take that.
overlooking the Caribbean Sea and all this. I said, "Hell yeah, I'll go." And it was at Montserrat, which at the time I had never heard of it.
Right. It's a pretty small island, right?
Little tiny island. It's 12 miles wide and 12 miles long and 7 miles wide. So imagine an island between Bourneville and Chillicothe.
Yeah.
And it's had a 3,300-foot mountain in the middle of it.
Nope, no big deal.
Imagine a 3,300-foot mountain between Bourneville
That's
and
insane.
Chillicothe. Anyway, I got off track a little bit, but I went down there that first time. He said, "You want to go?" I said, "Hell yeah." So I went down, didn't know anything, got to know the people, coached the team. I trained during the day. I trained their young kids.
Yeah.
And in the evenings, I'd train their national team for international competition. I remember I sent down like our offenses. Like back then, it was like 1995. I sent them by letter our offenses all drawn
drew it
up
and mailed it
because
up
the internet was just starting.
Yeah.
And they had one court on the island. Somebody takes me to the court, and there's one little, well, there's nobody there, and these little rickety bleachers, and I think it was a water buffalo. Something comes walking out of the rainforest or whatever they call it,
Holy shit.
and took a crap right in the middle of the court. And I move up a couple rows, and
Welcome
these
to Montserrat.
little bleachers. I'm thinking, what is going on? And this little kid, like 10 years old, comes walking out from nowhere, and starts yelling at this beast that was out there. And I'll never forget, this thing took a crap right at mid-court and just ambled off. And the kid cleaned it up and everything, and then the players started coming. They have no concept of like being on time. They call it island time. They show up when they want to show up. They all sound like Bob Marley.
Which I'm sure you loved.
Yeah. Oh,
after playing under you.
It took me a while to get used to it. You go, "Coach, man, we'll get there." But anyway, that was my first experience down there. And do you want to hear the volcano story?
Yes, that's what I'm ready for.
It sounds like
a movie?
A movie that I'm making up. But if you get on Google.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Googleable.
And put in Montserrat volcano, Coach Shoemaker, it's all there. So as we're practicing on this one court that they have, this volcano is like rumbling. And I keep glancing up at it. And a guy down there was videoing it with an old VCR recorder. And I have the tape. The guy, at one point I say, "Guys, are you worried about that?" Because I'm trying to coach him and talk to him, and it's going, boom.
Yeah.
And they said, "Oh, Coach, it hasn't erupted in recorded history. You're fine. We go up there all the time because that's where their cell phone
the cell phone
tower
towers,
was
stuff
on
like
top
that.
of it.
Yeah.
So, and some of the players actually worked up there. So anyway, the last day I was there, they said, "You want to go up and see the volcano?" And I said, "Sure." And again, this is an incredible story, but you can check it out.
Yeah.
We hike up there. The players are taking me, and walking up to this volcano it was like Jurassic Park. There were waterfalls.
Yeah.
There were
giant trees.
10-foot iguanas.
Oh, jeez.
You'd have to clap, and they'd scurry out of the way.
Yeah.
And it was like a 45-minute hike to the top of this mountain. So we get up there, and we stand on the rim of this volcano that hadn't been – it was active but hadn't erupted in over 200 years. In recorded history, it hadn't erupted.
Right.
So we're up there, and it's very uneventful.
It's not like there's like lava sitting in there or anything like that.
It was like half of a football field, maybe a full football field, and it smelled like sulfur, and there was steam everywhere, but there wasn't lava kicking out.
Not like you see in the movies.
But you could feel the ground shaking. And a couple times I said, "You guys feel the?" They said, "Yeah, it does that all the time. Don't worry about it." So we hiked back down, and that was a Friday. We flew out. My wife and I at the time flew out Saturday morning. And at the time, we had a cottage at the Outer Banks, so we flew directly into Manteo, North Carolina. And, we get back to the cottage, and there were messages on the answering machine. Again, no one had cell phones.
Yeah, it's like early 2000s.
I didn't have a cell phone in 1995. Anyway, there were messages. You guys okay? And so I called a couple of them back and said, yeah, why? They said the volcano erupted this morning.
Oh, my God. That's insane.
I said, what? It erupted less than 24 hours after I was
After not erupting for 200 years.
Yeah. And eventually, like 19 people were killed, and a little while later, like the whole top of the mountain blew up and everything. But I had players that were like on the mountain at the time. This one guy, Beresford Mack, one of my players, he was driving down the mountain. And keep in mind, these roads, there's like no guardrails, and if you go off the edge, you're going to drop 1,500 feet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because it's a 3,300-foot mountain. Anyway, Mackey told me that, he's still to this day a good friend of mine. He told me he was driving down the mountain, and he saw the eruption in his rearview mirror. And there's this thing called a pyroclastic flow that precedes the lava. It's this massive heat that rolls down ahead. Right. It's like thousands of degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it will incinerate you.
It's pretty much just like fire.
Yeah. He said if you've ever had a campfire and you've got your head over too close to the and you feel that, he said that's what it is. It's like thousands of degrees. Yeah. But it overtook his car. Again, this sounds like a movie. He couldn't see anything, and he's trying to look at the road and trying to get down, and he can't breathe, and he's trying to get air into his car, and he turns on his vents, like the air. And he said fire was shooting through the vents inside of his car.
Jesus.
And he thought, I'm done.
Yeah.
Well, he knew the island. They all knew it inside out because they all grew up there.
Right.
He knew there was this turnoff, and he spotted it, and he turned and went up, and he got out of this pyroclastic flow.
Yeah.
And got out of his car coughing and choking, but he was okay. He turned around, and the tires were melted off his car.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I mean, this is all true.
Yeah.
There was also, there's a story down there of this pilot. The airport was covered in lava and ash and everything.
Right.
But there was a pilot that was taking off or that was getting ready to land with some people. And he knew there was 10 or 12 people waiting to fly out. And he saw the volcano erupt. And the airport was on the beach at that time, the old airport. This guy landed the plane, told the people that was going to Montserrat to stay there. These were local people. He got all the people that were getting ready to fly out on the plane, overloaded the plane, took off as the lava and ash overtook the airport.
Jeez.
And if you go down there now, you can just see the top of the control tower. Yeah. That's all that's left.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Another interesting story, and stop me if I'm talking too much.
You're fine.
My ex-wife and I had stayed in this villa overlooking the Caribbean Sea. And when the volcano erupted, part of the flow went to the airport and covered it up. The other part went and covered the capital of Plymouth. We were staying in a villa right between those two flows.
Oh, Jesus.
So 15 years later, 2010, when I went back, we went to this. They have these lookout, people. Yeah. They have lookouts where you can go look at and they take me places. It's a exclusion zone. You can't go there, but they take me down because they know me. But
because you're the shoe.
They said, "See that that villa over there?" I said, "Yeah, that's the one we stayed in." And they said, "That villa is exactly the way you left it in 1995."
Oh,
because no one has been there since the volcano went off, because you can't get there.
Yeah.
And that was just eerie. Like if we left a towel on a rack
it's
or a
still
plate,
sitting there.
yeah, it was still there.
Makes you kind of think, like, I wonder if any, like, animals or anything got in there and, like.
Yeah.
But did you say Paul didn't, like, Paul McCartney or somebody have, like, a shit ton of Beatles stuff down there?
George Martin, who was Paul McCartney and the Beatles producer, he had Air Studios, and he built it so people like McCartney, Jimmy Buffett, Sting,
right, giant names,
all these big names.
R.I.P. to Jimmy Buffett, by the way.
All these big names went there to record because the Montserrat people wouldn't bother them, and they could stay down there.
I remember you telling me that they're really cool people.
Because it's such a small island.
Yeah.
Well, when I went in 2017, when I was there, George Martin has a house. It's called Ulveston House. And they surprised me. They took me to lunch there.
Favorite band's the Beatles, by the way. If
you're
just now meeting
one of the most famous producers in the history of music.
Yeah.
So we had lunch on the porch of Ulveston House, and you couldn't get inside because all the Beatles stuff was still there. Linda McCartney photos that no one had ever seen before, right?
Yeah.
So, we eat, and I'm looking in the windows because I just want to see. Well, this lady, this caretaker, comes out to the porch, and she said, "I hear you're a big Beatles fan." And again, they have this Caribbean accent. And I said, "Yeah," I said, "this is a dream come true, just being here. I can't believe it." I said, "I understand, though. I don't,
Yeah.
I know we can't go in." And she went, "Come here." She took me inside.
Getting the all-shoe access.
She said, "Just don't touch anything." And these pictures that Linda McCartney took around the pool with Paul McCartney, Lennon, Ringo, they were
probably
all
like
there.
Never before seen photos as well.
No. She said none of these pictures had been published before.
That's insane. It's like getting to see a little piece of heaven.
I was getting teary-eyed.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of getting teary-eyed, we got to go see Paul McCartney last year. So I'll tell this story. So we're sitting there together, and we talked about the Paul McCartney concert, and Shu said, I'm just going to look him up. So Shu pulls out his phone, he looks them up, and these tickets cost probably 7 pounds of gold. I mean, they were expensive. But he's playing down Wake Forest right there on the football field, and Shu looks at me, he goes, "Well, should we get him?" And I said, respectfully, "Shu, I have $3. So this is all you." And Shu looked right at me in the face and said, "F it." It clicked on that, and the next thing you know, a few months later, we're sitting there seeing a living legend.
I wanted to see him, of course, because I've seen him a few times, but I got a bigger kick out of allowing you to see him.
He blew the roof off that place, Shu, and it was outside. There was no roof.
It was a 3-hour concert.
Didn't
he
stop
was
once.
79 years old. He never left the stage.
No. His bandmates left the stage, and he stayed on and played.
His band left because he's played acoustic like Blackbird and Yesterday and stuff. And then at the end of the show and the end, like he's like sharing guitar.
Yeah.
I mean, he's amazing.
And then, I thought, my favorite thing out of that entire thing when they brought John Lennon on the screen behind him and started playing, I got a feeling. I mean, that brought a tear to my eye 100%.
Peter Jackson, the guy who does all the Hobbit movies and everything. Was it Hobbit movies he does?
I have no idea.
I think it was. Anyway.
Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, one of the two.
He called McCartney and said, he did the Get Back documentary that the Beatles had. He put it all together, and he said, I could make this work where John could sing with you during the concert. And Paul said, "Hell yeah, let's do it." That's where
and that's like the first time that they've sang together, played together live. Ever since. And what I thought was amazing, she was like, you would walk around, you would see kids in like Sgt. Pepper outfits and stuff like that.
That's the amazing thing about going to a McCartney concert. Beatles music it's ageless.
Yeah, I mean,
you'd see an 8-year-old girl with a Sgt. Pepper's outfit on. You'd see a 85-year-old person, with a concert T-shirt from the '60s,
Yeah.
and everybody loved it.
It was.
That's amazing.
And we actually got to have that experience, like right in front of us, where we had the kid and his parents getting to experience basically like a family experience of getting to watch the Beatles. I mean,
You remember
was
the kid that was playing drums, like right beside us?
Yeah.
He was like 8 years old.
So I'm sending pictures to Derek so he can show everybody what
And he knew all the Beatles songs.
Yeah.
It's just timeless, man.
It's kind of like what you said with the timelessness of there's kids that were born and they've been grown up in their family through the only thing I can compare it to, this might shock you, it's like kind of like the Grateful Dead. Some people get born and they take their kids to the shows. That's a race. But the Beatles fam and everything like that, they didn't get that experience just because they didn't tour. So I think that's amazing to
The
watch.
thing with the Beatles is people today, younger people that listen to them, it sounds like everything they've heard.
Right.
They don't realize that the Beatles was the first time doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
So they hear it and they think, oh, yeah, that's nothing special.
And
But
if you hear like your favorite artist talk about their favorite artist,
yeah,
the good ones talk about
Yeah.
the Beatles being
They
inspired, like Dave Grohl and everybody like that.
yeah,
I mean,
listen to Dave Grohl, man.
Yeah.
I mean,
Uh-oh.
he'll tell you.
Beatles are definitely one of the most
we're
influential
gonna
bands.
pull in here the one and only Adam. Welcome on, Adam.
Thank you. I'll give myself claps.
But
you guys
yes,
doing today?
so Adam, we're kind of just talking about the Beatles and stuff like that. You're a big Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. They get inducted into the the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That's a huge person they shout out to is the Beatles. I mean, Flea's sitting there saying like, I just want to be like Paul McCartney.
Adam will like this story if you want to hear it.
Oh.
It's very short.
Yeah, we're here for it.
A buddy of mine is a
I'll
big
hear
Red Hot
interesting story.
Chili Peppers fan. He was dating this girl who wanted to surprise him and got him tickets
Right.
to Red Hot Chili Peppers. And he was like, really? You got them? Yeah, they're going to be in Lancaster. And he was like, okay, whatever. Turns out it was the Red Hot Chili Pipers. this band that plays like bagpipes.
Hey, babe. Dude, I just got Red Hot Chili Peppers, $20. Floor level. I mean, right in front of the stage.
But he researched the Red Hot Chili Pipers, and they were pretty awesome.
That's kind of cool, too.
They play all this modern music with bagpipes.
Oh, man. It's kind of like...
I'm not gonna lie. I don't know if I'd be able to come back from that. I mean,
it's like
go to concert,
it's like
I
once
don't
you
know
get
if
there
I'd
and
be
you're
able to do
expecting
it.
the Red Hot Chili Peppers, it's like anything less, you're just like, well, shit, man. But I mean, they come out with the bagpipes and everything like that. A funny story. I hope you guys think it's funny. So I was actually in charge of the music for my dad's funeral, right?
Yeah, I
my
know.
dad was a pretty loosey-goosey kind of guy, so I didn't want it to be too serious.
Right.
So me and Savannah going through the music, sad song. Right in the middle of it, though, I was like, oh, let's play this bagpipe song. And not like one of those traditional funeral bagpipe songs. And I was like, everybody be walking around. Nobody really be paying attention to the music. Won't be that big of a deal. And as soon as we get there, the guy's like, all right, so I'm going to sit you and your family down here front row and have you guys watch the video you guys made. And I'm like, oh, shit. So it gets to the song right before the bagpipe song. And me and Savannah, my wife, are sitting there. And as soon as it starts, I'm like, shit. And I look down. I look over. My grandma's just shaking her head. My uncle is dying laughing. Like, oh.
Your dad was smiling somewhere, man.
Yeah, it was.
For sure.
It was, honestly, it was probably my favorite moment of that ceremony. But it was. But I cannot imagine showing up to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. It'd be the Chili Pipers. Adam, we're kind of on the subject. I know Red Hot Chili Peppers is your favorite band. Is that like who got you into music, or like how did you kind of get into your music and your music fashion?
honestly, I'm a little embarrassed to say a lot of how I got into music was country, but I was young and couldn't control a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, when you guys were talking about the Beatles, when I came in, like the first time I really like started like getting into a lot of older bands and a lot of like finding my own music, the Beatles were one of the first ones. I took a history of rock class. I think the teacher's name was Mr. Harmon. He was also like the music instructor down there.
Yeah.
But he had a whole like he had a whole section that was just dedicated to the Beatles.
Oh, hell yeah.
And there was it was like I mean a whole semester basically dedicated to just the Beatles.
Nice.
'Cause he
Shoes
was
back
like, there's
room
so
is
much
like
to do
walking
with
into like
the rock and roll.
1970, 1980. You have like what, like the big speakers and everything like that.
Yeah, I've got they used to play at the Cavern Club in Germany, and I've got a section of the wall.
That's insane.
I got John Lennon, a replica of John Lennon's Gold Imagine album. I got a movie like Cell from Hard Day's Night movie. And,
It's the crazy thing too. Like you kind of said, in our talks that we've had over my entire life, them making that music and sing like the lyrics and the music at that time was not done. You had your musicians that made the music. You had your songwriters to make the songs. You didn't have people doing the same thing.
because everything today has basically been based on what the Beatles did. It doesn't seem unique to people now.
Yeah.
But at the time, no one had heard anything like that.
Nobody.
I saw them on the Ed
Speaking of like,
Sullivan Show, and I thought there were aliens from outer space.
It makes you think that it's like
Yeah.
it's like only somebody that is not a human could come up with. Speaking of not humans, true. Are aliens real?
10 years ago, I would have scoffed at it, but I believe anything.
I was about
now.
to say. I think.
These generals from
Mexico.
no, I saw that.
Oh, okay.
These United States generals testified like a month ago
Yeah.
about aliens that we've had and captured and all this.
Kinda
and
freaks you out.
the night is no one blinked. They're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we figured it was real.
Yeah,
no
but-
one cares.
Yeah, it's like, but like we said 10 years ago, you're like, hey, aliens real, and people are like, what?
Yeah.
I mean-
now no one blinks.
Adam, what are your thoughts on aliens?
What's this guy on? I mean, I don't know. I'm a believer, I know it's, probably no such thing as Bigfoot, but wouldn't it be cool if it was? you know?
Right?
Like Nessie,
And-
probably not real, but wouldn't it be cool?
Yeah,
So, like,
it-
part of
that's
me is
what-
like, I guess
it
it's just
would
me
be.
wanting to stay young and naive and be a believer. So, like, I mean, I guess I'll believe anything, but at the same time, it's like, how realistic is it? I don't know, but
Yeah.
I hope is my thing.
I'm right there with you.
One more thought on the Beatles.
Yeah. The aliens.
And I've said this before. Yeah, thought aliens had landed. I firmly believe they started with Love Me Do and She Loves You and ended up with I Am the Walrus and Come Together.
Helter
and
Skelter.
Helter Skelter.
It's crazy what acid can do to your brain.
Well,
Yellow
but
Submarine.
I firmly believe that they advanced music more from 1963 to 1970 than music has been advanced since.
I 100% agree with
It
that.
hasn't
100%,
changed much
yeah.
since their last album.
I think the
I mean,
most that
hip-hop, you could
changed
argue.
was maybe, you had the hairband metal and everything like
Yeah.
that. And then it went into like the grunge, but
But even all that's based on the Beatles.
Exactly.
Hip hop, maybe you could argue that
It-
Well,
even
you say
then,
grunge.
they
You were
had
talking
some-
about Dave Grohl earlier.
They
Yeah.
had some recordings that were kind of hip hop-ish.
yeah.
I mean, it's
The crazy thing is, I feel like if someone's like, hey, you have to listen to, well, you're on Strand Island, you have to listen to one band for the rest of your life. The reason that you'd almost have to go with Beatles because I feel like they hit every genre
Yeah.
that you could possibly.
They're
They
so
did.
diverse, 100%.
my son was given an assignment. I went to a parent-teacher conference when he was 9,
Yeah.
and I was with his mom and her husband.
Right.
Great guy. But I was there with him, and his third grade teacher said, when the conference was over, she said, Dave, do you mind sticking around? She was a cool teacher. And I
Yeah.
said, no, that's fine. And she said, I want to show you an assignment. And she gave him an assignment. If you could have two things on a deserted island, what would your father want? If your father could have two things on a deserted island. And he said, Beatles albums and liquor.
The only thing a man ever needs.
He was like 9 years old at the time. But having said that, he was dead on.
That's awesome.
He knew me well.
That's hilarious. That's when I was in second grade with Miss Shoemaker. I think
Yeah.
I've told you this.
Kim?
Yeah. Big basketball star actually out there at Southeastern.
Oh, she was amazing.
I remember she was going around telling the class like, "Hey, don't forget to leave out your milk and cookies for Santa Claus, blah blah." And I threw my hand up real quick. She's like, "Clay," I was like, "Yeah, Miss Shoemaker, my mom told me that you leave out beer and pretzels for Santa." So,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I learned real quick that Santa wasn't just only on the milk. But shoot, I mean, you've coached a Montserrat team against not just the USA team, but in the Final Four with Chauncey Billups, everything like that. I think one thing that's amazing though is people not understanding the concerts you've been to. One that I really want to harp or not. I hate saying harp on because I've said so much in shows before. I'm done
I make fun
saying
of
it.
him a lot for it too. I make fun
but
of him a lot for it. So
one show I definitely want you to talk about is the one that you pretty much escaped death on your birthday. Can you talk about that one?
This is another one that people might find hard
If
to
you
believe.
guys want to hear more about this amazing man's stories, go look at research Shoe Untied and have a good read.
Go to Shoe Untied concerts, and it'll explain everything. But it was my birthday, 1979. My bud, the late great Andy Anderson, and my friend Tom Elliott, we were heading to the Who concert, and it was my birthday, and someone had invited me to a bar here in Chillicothe to celebrate my birthday.
Right.
So Andy was living in Frankfurt at the time, and we leave Frankfurt, and we hit 35, and we got talking, and we thought, you know what, let's go back to the party, man. That'll be more fun. We'd all been to see Led Zeppelin like 2 months before that.
Right.
And at the time, everything was general admission. Like
You just paid to get
you got
there.
a ticket, and first come, first serve. So
yeah.
everyone was fighting to get in.
Yeah.
And in their infinite wisdom, Riverfront Coliseum opened like
One door.
like 4 doors
Yeah.
on one side. It
Yeah.
was the doors that you cross from Riverfront Stadium over to Riverfront Coliseum.
Right.
And I remember at the Led Zeppelin concert being so pressed together that like you'd start tilting and you couldn't, and I thought if these people keep pushing, I'm just going to get crushed.
Right.
So the people at the Who concert were not stampeded like you read about. They were crushed.
Yeah.
So anyway, at the Led Zeppelin concert, I remember there was a police helicopter hovering and saying, everybody back up, blah, blah, blah. And people were throwing beer bottles off the chopper and all this stuff. And finally, some idiot opened the door and said, guys, you need to back off. And of course, the door was ripped off and glass breaking. And I remember I had a flask. This was 1979.
Right.
A flask around my neck. Some guy ripped it off my neck, some guard. Made it down to the front row, though. So, but anyway.
Always going to get down to that front.
Anyway, when I heard the news about the Who concert, I knew exactly what had happened.
Right.
So anyway, we go to this party in Chillicothe, and we go back to Andy's house in Frankfurt. And this is before the internet.
Right.
You had to watch the news to find out what happened. And his wife was sitting on the floor in front of the television crying. And we walked in, and she jumped up and hugged him, and she was watching news footage of 11 people that had been killed at this Who concert.
That's insane.
And I know had we been there, we'd have been right in the middle of all that.
Yeah.
Because we were 2 months before at Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
But I knew exactly what had happened. And as a matter of fact, when that door busted open at Led Zeppelin and I ran by these guards, I remember screaming, someone's going to get killed if you don't open more doors.
Dumbass.
And that's what happened.
That's insane.
And it was brutal, man.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, the Who went on and did the whole show, not knowing what had happened before the show.
Right.
They only found out afterwards.
I'm sure people were like, "Oh, how could the Who do this?" Like, it's not.
No, they didn't know.
So.
And again, they were crushed.
Right.
They weren't trampled.
Yeah.
And I remember being in that Led Zeppelin line, and this is true. It took me like 20 minutes because it was really hot. It was summer. 20 minutes to get my arm up out of the crowd just to try to cool off.
Yeah.
I mean, It was
That's
a
insane.
recipe for disaster.
Concerts are not. I mean, sounds awesome. Just the environment, but at the same time, doesn't sound awesome dying. So, I mean, concerts just aren't like they used to. I guess.
No, it was a free for all back in the day.
Talk about free for all. It was a free for all in Colorado on Saturday. Did you see them get blown out by 35, at least 35 at halftime? I mean, come on, Dion. At least make it a close game.
If you watched, Dion didn't trash talk much the week of that
Yeah,
game.
he kind of knew going in.
He'd seen film. He knew.
I mean, when you have Bo Nix into his 10th college year,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be
the
a hard
guy
team
from
to
Notre
beat.
Dame.
Well, also his best defensive back was out too, so I mean, you kind of, you lose a piece of your defense. You're not really going to be talking a whole lot. You're not really prepared.
Yeah, speaking of Notre Dame, sure, you guys ripped my freaking heart out on Saturday. I mean, I Savannah, I was literally sitting here in a cold sweat. I was like, we got it. And then that guy drops that interception for Notre Dame, and I was like, we're fucked. They're screwed.
Everything had to happen perfectly for Ohio State, but on that 3rd and 19 or whatever they completed to get it to the 1, I mean.
Yeah. I wish, as a Notre Dame fan, that he would have just got a touchdown. We had 2 timeouts, 30 seconds, only need a field goal. So I don't know if he did that on purpose or not, but I mean, heads up play. I'm talking about it. All right, so we're
gonna be okay.
No, I'm not gonna be okay. Shoot, hey, I am bad. You should have been here earlier when it was just me on the camera. Everybody just got to have a good picture of me crying. So
I'm gonna make a bold prediction right now. Not a prediction, but a guess. Duke might beat them this weekend.
I think after a hard loss like that, you gotta have what I think we lost is because of coaching. Even though I love Marcus Freeman, and if you lose because of coaching, I think you can lose again the next week because you're not ready after a deflating loss. And Duke's hungry, man. I mean, they beat Clemson to start the year.
It's the first time College Game Day is going to be at Duke.
Yeah,
they got a good quarterback. He's
do.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Duke can win, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's not a really good game.
Man, I hope I ever get over this, but I probably won't.
And Dion's got USC, man.
Dude, that's not good. I mean,
might get ugly.
Come on, Dion, do something for me, but I don't think you are.
But you can't expect
I
him
don't
to
trust
turn
their
the whole
defense
program
as much.
around in 1 year.
No.
He's already exceeded expectations.
3 wins off of 1 win last year.
He's doing a great job. He just got to get a line. He's got to get bigger linemen, which he will. Like he said in that interview, you better get me now because this is going to be the worst we're ever going to be.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
All right, Stu, so with me slipping up there earlier, I think it's perfect time to go into our draft if you'd like to be a part of it. We're going to be drafting words to replace curse words.
Oh, boy.
All
I
right.
haven't thought about this. I'm ready.
All right, so we'll put you on the tail end. So we'll start with Adam, then we'll go me, then we'll go you to kind of give you some time to think. Sound good?
So these are words that you use when
like if
you
you're about to
can't-
drop the F-bomb, you'd be like, fudge! But you know
Okay.
what I mean? But
Okay.
yeah. All right, Adam, where are you going with your first pick, my friend?
I think I'm gonna have to go with a classic, just straight darn it.
Darn it. All right, you're going with the darn it.
A darn it.
Mildly
Right off the
PG.
rip.
All right, so go with the darn it whenever we know you mean damn it. And then I'm going to go with, this is my favorite. I give shout out to my mom for giving me the history of the word. My favorite replacement, I guess this would be words, for a curse word is ship high in transit, which would stand for SHIT. So my mom told me the history of this word. I don't think it's true, but she told me whenever they were coming over from England to here, they'd have like manure or something.
I've never heard that.
So they had to put it on top because it would get wet and it'd smell really bad. And so they'd stamp it and put ship high in transit, SHIT. So I say that instead of shit.
Number
Shoot.
one, I've never understood why certain words are like banned.
Isn't it weird?
It's just the arrangement of letters.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
It's the word.
But I will go with fudge.
You took things. All right. So Shu,
I didn't lead off with that 'cause I don't want to steal it.
Shu comes
But
in
Clay
sweeping
didn't
with the
take it,
fudge.
so.
Now, Shu, you will have 2 picks in a row.
Oh, okay.
So where are you going to go with your second pick?
Well, seems to be common in southern Ohio.
All right.
And it's derived from Germany.
Okay.
Scheiss.
That's a good one.
They say it
Shice.
instead of, the word.
Yep.
Are we allowed to cuss on this website?
I mean, I've been saying a lot of cuss words, so I hope
Replaces
so.
shit.
Yeah.
They go shice, and somehow it's okay.
The only one we try
I think it's a
to
German
avoid
thing.
is that
Yeah.
real bad one.
All right.
But I know people who are like really religious, so they don't want to say shit, so they say shice and everything's fine, even
Yeah.
though it's a cuss word in
It's
Germany.
literally
It
means
makes
the
no
same thing.
sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, all
alrighty.
you shice people.
Alrighty. So you go with fudge, and you took my F.
Shice.
In shice. Alrighty. So I got ship high in transit. I think with my second one, I got a couple ways I want to go here. I want to go. All right, I'm going to take my F as well. I'm going to go with freak. Or no, frick.
That's
That's,
a good
what I
one.
meant. Frick, as in like frickin'. What the?
So that would take out frickin'.
Yeah, is that a double one there? Frick and freak? Because it's like frickin' and
Yeah,
freaking.
freaking. Yeah, I would say
Okay.
freaking. Some people would say frickin'. So I mean,
Yeah.
it depends on. I guess depends on what you would say as a kid. But that one and the same.
What? Okay, so yeah, I'm
'Cause
going
that
to
was
take.
gonna be my F. So
All right.
I'm gonna take. I've got to find another one.
I want to make a correction. I just Googled this. Shice is spelled Scheisse.
Jeez!
Scheisse.
I would have never, ever spelled that right. Alrighty, so, shoot, you got fudge and shice. I have ship high in transit and frick. Adam, you have darn it. You're making back-to-back picks here.
So to just end this round out, I'm probably gonna go with Dadgummit.
All right.
That's a good one.
Dadgummit. And for your second pick, which one are you going with?
So it's gonna be like. It's kind of hard. So like it's not. I don't actually
That's what
say
she
a
said.
word. It's a lack of a word. So it would be son of a, and then just don't say anything.
I think I'm okay with that. I mean, son of a. I feel like people would know you son of a, and then a very hard no word.
A hard silence. Yeah.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
all
if
right.
I had to put a word there, it would be like biscuit, I guess. But I wouldn't say that. I would just like you son of a.
Alrighty,
And then
alrighty.
just-
I can get
yeah.
behind it. Okay, so you go with darn it, dadgummit, and son of a as your replace curse words. I'm saying that ship high in transit, frick, and then here's one here that I could not let slip through the cracks. I have to go with William Shatner. or Shatner, sorry. I am going to go with that one as my next one. William Shatner. Shoo, you are now on the clock.
I can't believe this one hasn't been said before, but it's the classic dang.
Dang. All right.
Right?
That's a good one. Yeah. Yep. And then you got one more to close out your team.
I had an uncle who was a very religious guy, didn't want to say bitch, and he would always say son of a beehive.
That's another one. Yeah, yeah.
Son of a beehive. All right. Now, that is a first for me hearing that one. That is the, oh, man. Okay. I'm going to go with this one just because big SpongeBob guy growing up. I almost went with just dolphin noises. If you've ever watched SpongeBob, you get it. But I'm going to go with an actual word. Barnacles. That is what I am going to go. This is barnacles. So that is how I'm going to close out my team. Adam, what is going to be your last pick here, my friend?
I'm honestly, when you said SpongeBob, I got nervous. I was like, no, because when I pitched this idea to you, I said my one, and it's eels.
Yeah.
Eels.
Eels.
Just saying eels.
All right. So that will end our replacement cuss word draft. Shoo, you got fuds, shies, dang, and son of a beehive. Adam, you had darn it, dadgummit, son of a, and eels.
I'm having great regrets that I didn't use mother trucker.
How did that one slip through the
It
cracks?
just came to me, man.
Man, and then I had Ship High in Transit, Frick, William Shatner, and Barnacles. That is going to wrap up our draft there. Shoe, thanks for coming on, man.
Always a pleasure, man. Anytime.
Thank you.
You know, you need to have me on before you have the legendary Gary Williams, so I can fill you in on some stories.
I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
Gary Williams, if you don't know him, welcome again back from under your rock. National championship coach from Maryland, coached the great Steve Blake, Steve Francis.
Yep. Yeah, all those guys.
I mean, but he has agreed to come on our show here soon. I mean, shoot.
And he doesn't do interviews. And I'm working on the third winningest coach in NCAA history that has not done a podcast since he's not coaching.
You're seeing it here first. Make sure you're tuning in. Again, we are on Shoe. If you haven't been following him on Facebook, 1, you're missing out on a good time. 2, make sure you go see his Shoe Untied on online. There's a lot of great articles in there. I recommend the float article from the Fall Festival Leaves. It is amazing. We'll have to have him come back on again to talk about that. Fall Festival Leaves is coming up.
It's coming up. Need to do it.
I was about to say, Fall Festival Leaves coming up. Need to make sure you get on here for that.
Renegade float.
Yeah, Adam, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Always a pleasure to hear any of Shoe's stories. Just I don't know. I love anytime we can have him on. It's just a great guest. But
I feel like I talked too much, and Adam got shut out tonight. I'm sorry.
Oh no! That's what you're here for. We're here for the stories. Thank you for tuning in. Honestly, we don't know why you want to tune in to these. Well, 2 idiots and Shoe today, but mostly 3 idiots. But honestly, we can't thank you guys enough. We really couldn't do the show without you. We are still taking on sponsorships. So if you would like to sponsor this show, help us get to cover even more athletes, even more sports, even do dumber things. I know you probably don't think we can do dumber things. I promise it's possible. So if you would like to sponsor that, make sure you reach out to us. You can reach out to us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, any of those social media platforms. We'd love to help you sponsor. Thank you again for tuning in for our show today. Game Day show coming at you Southeastern. We will be there Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Make sure you're there to win Best Son and some free pizza. And then we'll actually be covering the Huntington Southeastern game this Friday. Should be a really good game for us to cover. Adam, are you pumped for that Friday night game?
Yes, sir, I am. I am pumped for this Friday night game, honestly.
All right.
They say every Friday night. I'm pumped for every Friday night now.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining in. And always remember, ride the wave.